So in this video, I'm going to show what the two most basic chord progressions look like if you arrange your tones in a circle instead of on a line. So imagine you're a beginning composer, you want to write a song, and you're staring at the piano keyboard and there's 88 keys here, and you don't know where to start. There's just way too many choices. So we're going to get rid of some of these choices, and the first thing we're going to do, we're going to say we're going to get rid of all of these black keys. So we're going to write a song that's in C major. We're only going to use the white keys. And then we're going to notice something, that a lot of these notes sound very similar. If we look at a Do in one octave and in another octave, that's almost the same sensation. So we want to combine all of the Do's into just one note. So we're going to imagine taking our piano keyboard and twisting it into a helix like this. And when we look down at it from the top, all the notes are going to line up. And we're left with a musical space consisting of 7 notes arranged in a circle. Now our song is not just going to be a melody made up of these notes. We're going to have 3 voices sounding simultaneously. We're going to have chords made up of 3 different notes. And we're going to use quarter notes. So we're going to choose our chords by picking 3 of the notes out of the 7. We're picking our notes so that they don't clash with each other. So if we had picked T, Do, Re, we're going to say that that's a sound that we're trying to avoid in this style of music. So we're going to make a rule that says we can't pick notes that are adjacent to each other. So we want to have at least one space between all of the notes and have a sound like this. Now if you follow this rule, you're going to see that there's only one shape that's possible. You have note, space, note, 2 spaces. You know, if you put them anyway, you're going to get that same shape. You can try it yourself. So what we're going to do is we're going to label these chords by the lowest note, and the way our helix is situated anti-clockwise is the lowest. So here this is going to be Re, Fa, La. This is a D minor chord. We pick some other notes. So here So is the lowest, So, Ti, Re. That's a G major chord. Now our song is going to be a sequence of these chords, so they're changing over time. And we could just pick some random sequence of chords and say that that's our song. But what we want to do, we want to make it easy for our listener. We want our listener to be able to understand what we're doing. So we want our changes to be as small as possible. So the smallest possible chord change is to keep 2 of the notes the same and to change just one of them. If we try to change the note in the middle, we see that it doesn't have anywhere to go. If we move it up, it's clashing with this note. If we move it down, it's clashing with this note. So we're going to have to either move the top note up, like that, or move the bottom note down. Now, it turns out in classical music, there's a tendency to move in the clockwise direction. And maybe that's just a historical accident, or maybe there's some reason for it, but we're going to say that most of the time we're going to move in that direction. Now we can make our first chord progression. We're starting off with Mi, So, Ti. That's a E minor. Move this up. Now we've got Do, Mi, So. That's C major. Now we've got La, Do, Mi. That's A minor. Now we've got Fa, La, Do. That's F major. And we can just keep going around in a circle like this. That gives us a circle of descending thirds that looks like this. That was the easiest possible progression, the one with the least movement. So what's the progression with the second least amount of movement? Well, we can keep one of the notes stationary and move 2 of the notes. So let's say we kept Do stationary here. If we move this one this way, well, that's going to clash. We move this one this way, that's going to clash. If we move them both in the opposite direction, they clash here. So it looks like we can't keep the one in the middle stationary. But we could keep La stationary and move these 2 up, or we could keep Mi stationary and move these 2 down. And again, in classical music, there's a tendency to move around in a clockwise direction. So normally you would see the progression go in this way. So we have La, Do, Mi, that's A minor. We move these 2 up. Now we've got Re, Fa, La, that's D minor. Now we move these 2 up. Now we've got So Ti Re, that's G major. And now we move the top two up again. Now we've got Do Mi So, C major. Now we have a second sequence of chords. This one is progressing by descending fifths. And what I'm going to claim is that these two progressions of chords just by themselves are already making up a large fraction of the music that you've heard. So I'll show you an example. This is the book Great Music of the World. I'm turning to page 45. We said we wanted a song in C major. This is the first song in the book that's in C major. And we're going to look at the chord progression. So here we have G to C, that's descending by a fifth. Then we have C to A, that's descending by a third. Then we have C to F, that's descending by a fifth. Then we have G to C, that's descending by a fifth. D to G, descending by a fifth, and G to C, descending by a fifth. So most of the harmonies in this piece, the progression of the chords, is made up of the two simple things that I've shown you. So as an exercise, you could take your own favorite song, map out the chords on the circle, and see how many of them are progressing in the way I've shown you. And the ones that aren't progressing that way, maybe you can come up with some explanation for why that sequence of chords works. So that's it.